Welcome, welcome, welcome to day 2 of GtFT, Google's Finance and Technology Summit, in partnership with Hub71. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed day 1. What a treasure trove of insights and revelations, and today will be no different. It's going to be a bit shorter, though. So, day 2 of our Formula One race. As a team, buckle up. It's going to be a lot of fun. And starting us off, we have Google's Arsen Izrapilov on Google's Insights and Trends. Over to you, Arsen.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Arsen. I'm from Google. I'm just a bit nervous. There are so many of you. Every year, while we're preparing the GtFT event, we're discussing the importance of the Insights and Trends session, where Google, as the key contributor, brings data and insights, and we're trying to be inspiring. If you can imagine if the finance company is participating in the Formula One race, with the rapid pace of the innovation and the changes that are happening these days, we need to constantly evolve our products to stay competitive. We need to embrace change to stay in the race and do even better to win. Like a Formula One car that regularly needs the pit stops for tire changes and refueling. We all need to constantly upgrade our products and organizations. I'm very excited today to talk with you about mathematics and love. Why math? Businesses are built on numbers, especially in the finance, whether it will be like calculating returns, managing risks, developing financial models. It's all about numbers. Later on, I will tell you about why love is so important. So let's kick it off. Why we're here today? Why finance? Finance is the top 3 most searched vertical globally for the past 5 years, along with health and travel. And I'll bet it will remain there for the next year as well. And for this year, it's growing faster than the last year. Just give me a moment. Yep. Last year, users were more cautious. They were more thinking about refinancing and savings. While this year, there is a shift. Risk tolerance is on the rise across the globe. And the users are willing to take more risks to maximize their returns. This is likely fueled by the expectations of the lower interest rates and the inflation. Let's look at some of the trends. Last year, the finance landscape was dominated by the credit, payments, and insurance, while there is a dramatic shift this year where investing is outpacing all other verticals. So let's look at some of the investing subcategories. You will see that the cryptocurrency is growing faster than any other subcategory, which sometimes associated with the speculative products. Even the day trading is demonstrating this year the double-digit growth. At the same time, the classical investing categories demonstrating the strong momentum. Let's look at the regional trends to see how these changes are happening across the globe. Finance is the global business more than ever. And this is where I want to talk with you regarding the diversification. Diversification, I promise you that we're going to talk about the math, is the process of the spreading your investment and assets across the different markets and the regions to reduce the exposure to some of the particular risks. One of the common ways to measure the financial risk is to look at the variance. What does it mean? If the variance is very high, that means that the returns fluctuate significantly. They are becoming unpredictable. Unpredictability makes it very hard to plan and invest for the future. This is where diversification comes in terms of how we can spread our investments and operations across different markets. Look at this like this. If one market performs poorly, another market might perform well, balancing out the overall impact. Let's consider the very hypothetical scenario just to show you in terms of the diversification. Let's consider the financial company, the product that's exclusively available only in MENA region or Southeast Asia. both of the regions offer promising growth prospects, while at the same time, diversification can help to mitigate some of the economic fluctuations as well as the geopolitical events. So let's look at the second scenario now. If the same business is present in both of the regions, in MENA and Southeast Asia, with this level of the diversification, we can smooth out the fluctuations for both of the regions and making business more stable, which means the results will be more predictable. And let's go and consider one more scenario. If the same business is present in MENA, Southeast Asia, in India, with this level of the geo-diversification, we cannot just only mitigate risk, we also can achieve a higher and more stable growth. If you can see on the numbers, it's very close to the highest rate of the India alone. It is essential, if you're building an international business, it is essential to have a healthy geo-diversification strategy. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be present in all the countries, in all the regions, but to have a healthy spread of your operations. As Harry Markowitz, the pioneer of the modern portfolio theory, discovered that putting together risky assets can actually reduce the overall risk of the portfolio. Today we're in MENA, in amazing Abu Dhabi. For the past few years, MENA was the user interest for the financial services was significantly growing in MENA. For this year, MENA is growing at 4% year over year. But if we will look at the sum of the categories, we will see a strong and sustainable interest. So from that perspective, it might be interesting for some of you to expand and maybe diversify your business, bringing your services and products to MENA. So now let's talk about love. One of the most important metrics for any technological company is lifetime value. It's essentially like how long the user will be using your service and what value they will generate during this period of time. Now, let's try to take a slightly different approach today. Let's talk about love. We all want our users to love our products. We want them to be happy. We want them to be loyal. We want them to be committed. So essentially, we're in the relationship with our users. What is the foundation of any relationship? It's trust. What does it mean to trust someone? It means to rely on them, to feel confident that they will not fail you, will not let you down. Is it any different from the perspective of the relationship of our customers with our products? I think no. So let me give you an example. When the users are using entertainment services or they're playing games, they're mostly spending some time and some amount of the money. But when they're using financial services, they are risking their hard-earned money. If users don't trust you, they will not entrust you their money. If users trust you, you will get a higher lifetime value. You will get their trust. You can charge them premium. You will get love times value. We have looked at the most searched financial brands across the globe. The results are very interesting and intriguing because last year there were 5 fintech brands. For this year, only 3 remains. Today, we have observed with you that there is a rising interest for the investing in speculative products, that the users are willing to take risks to maximize their returns. What is not changing? Trust. They still want to maximize their returns, but they want to rely on the established brands. This represents a unique opportunity for financial institutions to launch new products and services to capitalize on the rising demand. This is also a very strong signal for the fintechs, startups, and newcomers, because the brand building, brand awareness, and investing in this is becoming a crucial part of your strategy to gain trust of your users. Kantar did a survey in the United Arab Emirates among the YouTube users, and they discovered that 84% of the users agreed that the YouTube as a platform helps them to make the purchasing decisions. It's just a highlight in terms of that if you're thinking about like a brand awareness, if you're thinking about building a trusted brand, users should be aware about your brand. I'm pretty sure that you can make all the decisions by yourself. Yep. In terms of the brand building, let's go back to mass for a moment, because we often hear that some of our partners complain that the customer acquisition cost is very high. I want to pay less for my users. You're not. The true focus should be on return on the investment and the return on ad spend. That essentially means that, can we measure love or trust? Some of these concepts may seem to be intangible, but the impact on the real business results are very real, and they can be measured. So from that perspective, there is a Nielsen research that confirms the correlation that investing in the quality creatives for the brand building can be measured and can significantly impact the effectiveness as well as the return on ad spend. This is the last slide for my presentation. So in terms of the branding, some of your companies offer a diverse range of the products and services, which means they operate as the platforms. Consider your brand as a platform for these offerings. And then if users trust your brand, trust your platform, most likely they will use not just one service, which essentially means more revenue and more business for you. Finally, we talked about love, we talked about trust, we talked about some of the various mathematical concepts today. Some of the key people in any company to deal with the numbers, especially from the finance perspective, CFOs and their teams. Imagine if we can help your CFO to build a model to predict the capital allocation for the future growth. Let's think about it. Maybe at some point of time, we can connect with some of your CFOs and talk about this. Last thing, there will be a lot of the sessions today. I highly encourage you to go to the session with the Google product managers, because we're heavily investing in the products. That means that it's not just the tools are changing, but the overall approaches, and at some point of time, the structure of the organizations. It is a huge pleasure for me to be here. Thank you so much for coming. You're an amazing audience. We are your best trusted partners. We trust you. Thank you.
Thank you, Arsen, for getting our brains into gear this morning. That's fantastic. So we learned that geodiversification is a fantastic approach if you want to get more predictability and reduce overall risk. We also learned that love times value equals trust. I love it. Really nice formula. I wonder if that works with my husband, too. All right. Now, I'm going to hand over to a whole team of Google experts next, who are going to give you a deep dive session on the interesting topic of navigating the financial landscape with Google tools.
I love that music. It feels like a good pump up. How's everyone feeling? Good. I traveled in from New York to be here, and so last night I got hit with jet lag. So unfortunately, I was not able to join in the fun that everyone had last night, but I did hear about it. But it means I'm very well rested and excited to talk with all of you today. So a little bit of introduction. My name is Alo Karoma. I lead a team focused on our product solutions for lead gen advertisers. And I am joined with my dear colleagues, Matt and John, who are going to also come up and share a bit in a few. So we are dedicated to helping lead gen advertisers, such as yourself, find better success with our Google Ads solutions. Today, I am specifically going to talk about the solutions that we have for finance advertisers and really give you guys some insights onto how to best get the use out of those products. We'll start with what we call our lead gen path to profit, and then we'll share some exciting product developments, and then we'll also share some really good examples of advertisers that are finding success with these solutions. Does that sound like a good plan? Great. I'm excited. So I must admit, I have a really fun job, very blessed. As part of that role, I get to travel the world and talk to advertisers about the challenges that they're facing and the business problems that they are trying to achieve. And after talking to hundreds of advertisers, I really think I can distill those challenges into three main themes. One is that you really need better tools to identify and quantify lead quality. The second challenge I hear is that you need an easier way to share back that data with Google. And then third, you want to be able to balance quality and the volume of the leads that you receive. Does that sound familiar to the people here? Good, I see some heads nodding. And what I find when I hear how they are achieving and really addressing those challenges is that the most successful businesses, no matter what the industry is or the size of their business, are following three main steps and a framework that we call the path to profit. Number one is they are mapping their customer journey. And all that means is that they have a really good understanding of all the steps that their customers are taking from when they first become a lead to when they eventually become a customer and client. The second thing that they are all doing is integrating their first-party data, meaning having a good insight into what is happening online, offline, putting them together so that they have a full view of their customer interactions. And then the third thing that they're doing is that they are unlocking the power of that first-party data with our AI-powered solutions, which allows them to achieve scale at better conversion rates and achieve their business results, which is what I know we all care about. Taking a step back as to why this is all important and to really frame the next few slides that I'm going to talk to you about, we know, and you've probably heard this so many times, not even today, but this year if you work with Google, that we are really investing in AI as the future of advertising. However, as strong and as good and smart as our AI is, let me let you in on a secret. It really is only as good as the inputs that you give us. We like to joke that, garbage in, garbage out. So if you're giving us crappy, not strong signals or data, it's probably the results that you're going to receive. And so investing in these steps is critical to ensure that the data that you are feeding our AI is strong, smart, qualified, and thus you'll see the results. So I just want to frame why this is very important. All right, so back to the path to profit. The first step is defining value. And many of you have heard this before, and if not, I'm happy to be the first one to share. But mapping your customer's lead-to-sale journey is the most critical step that you can do. And as I mentioned, all it is really understanding all the steps that your customer takes from when they first become a lead, know about your business, to when they eventually become a final customer. And then it's important to assign a value to each one of those steps because we all know that each interaction has a different value. Let's take a look at an example. So this is an example of a mortgage lender advertiser. Any mortgage lenders in the room? No? Okay, I see one. Great, thank you. So this is an example of a mortgage advertiser that took the time to really map out the journey that their customers take. Starting with step 0. They go to their landing page, they look in, they're getting more information. And then the next few steps you can see is what happens as they're nurturing, providing them more information, whether they're coming into a bank, whether there's a call, whether there's some kind of credit card application that needs to occur. And then only after that do you achieve step 4, which is the contract sign-in, and that's really when we all get paid and our business objectives are made, and that's what matters. And I know even if you are not a mortgage lender, you can understand that there is a different value to each of these steps, right? Like step 3, approval, is going to be worth way more to you than someone just filling out an application. So investing in the work to understanding that is critical. And there are many ways that you can do that. The most mature being what we call predictive values. That is really the North Star. My advice to you is don't let perfection or the North Star be the enemy of progress. Start where you currently are. So if you are currently able to understand static values and provide that back to us, Do that first, that's better than nothing, and then work your way through those advanced steps. I think this is a great exercise to do with your Google account team. And so on Monday, if you have not already done this, please call them up. And I really think this is a great investment and exercise to do with your teams. All right, so step 2. Once you've done the work of understanding the different steps and valuing them, it's now important to share back that data back to Google in a privacy-centric way. And we have 3 new product launches that are making it even easier to do that. The first is Google Ads Data Manager. This is going to sound very nerdy, but I actually am really excited about this launch and really, really love it. One of the reasons why is it shows that we listen to you. We've heard in the past that sharing data back with Google can be clunky, time-consuming, cumbersome, right? This solves for that. This is a one-solution place where you can come, share back all of your offline data with us, your CRM, your customer match, and have a full view to ensure that your data is accurate and up to speed with what you're sharing back with us. Z5 Global, they are a subscription and streaming service business. They did the work to implement Google Ads Data Manager. And they told us that they saved, on average, about 10 hours a week of work of their team. Imagine if you had 10 hours of additional productivity for your teams, what you could do with that. And it didn't stop there. With the information that they were able to provide there, they then saw about 3x more conversions at a 3 times lower CPA, which is what we all want, more conversions at a lower price. The second launch I'm really excited about is Enhanced Conversions for Leads. This solution enables a durable, more accurate, and higher quality measurement. It directly boosts the conversions that you see, which then leads to overall better campaign performance and overall business objectives. We really see this as the future of passing back offline signals and offline data to Google. And the numbers that you see here really speak for themselves on how effective they are. So for example, advertisers who implement ECL, Enhanced Conversions for Leads, in comparison to our standard offline import solution, see about 10% more conversions and all the way up to 22% on YouTube. So it really works, and it really is a tool that I recommend that you invest in implementing because of the results. And the third launch that I'm really excited about is our lead funnel reporting. So we've talked a lot about the importance of the lead to sell journey, understanding the values, and understanding the steps that your advertiser takes. Don't let all of that work go to waste. Share back that information with us. And this lead funnel reporting, it provides a very visual way for you to understand the different steps that your advertiser is taking, that your customer is taking along the journey. All right, so before I pass it along to my colleague, Matt, I want to share an example of an advertiser that did the hard work of the lead to sell mapping, assigning values, and sharing that back with us. And it's Feratom. They are a lender based in Finland. Is there anyone here from Finland? I was hopeful. So like I said, they did the hard work of the lead to sell journey, of understanding the values. They shared it back with us. And you see that the results speak for themselves. They saw a 122% increase in ROAS and 107% increase in customer acquisition. Just showing that, yes, it does require work and investment, but the results really do speak for themselves. So that's my time with you today. Really excited to welcome my colleague and friend Matt to the stage. Please join me in giving him a round of applause.
Awesome. Thank you, Avril. That was amazing. Now that we all got the basics right, to me, mapping your user journeys and measuring the right conversion, activating on that conversion set is the foundation. You get that right, that's the fuel in your tank. Once you have the fuel, you can take your sports car out for a ride. When we talk about a sports car, especially in my analogy, what I mean is your search campaigns, your PMAX campaigns, your for demand gen campaigns and app campaigns. Our job at Google is to make sure we serve your ads to the right people at the right time with the right context in mind to drive the best performance for you. And we've been on this journey for a long time. Our aim is to make sure we bring the best of Google through our search campaigns. And one of the technologies that we've heavily invested on that drives better result is broad match. How many of you are running search campaigns? Okay, good. I was just checking if you're still with me. If you're running search campaigns, we've improved on the search tech. We have something called broad match, which has improved over time. And some of the latest improvements we've made year over year has led to up to 10% better performance in your campaign types. What we've done with broad match is made it more aware of language nuances. So if someone is searching for steps to qualify for home loans, and you've been advertising with just a keyword, home mortgages, we can match that better because we understand the intention behind the searches. As 15% of Google searches are brand new at any point in time, trying to go after that manually is going to be a tough job. Hence, our AI can help you get there. We also acknowledge there is a need for better controls. And with that in mind, we've launched 2 features, very simply, brand inclusions and exclusions for your search campaigns. What it does, it allows you to control whether you want to include or exclude brand terms while running your search campaigns. So you have the control you need to manage your performance. Beyond search, we've been experimenting heavily with bringing the best of Google AI in our flagship solution called Performance Max. Its job is to take your search campaigns, expand them even further, and then go across all Google inventory. How many of you have friends in retail who think PMax is amazing? Raise your hands. Okay. This is a study we did this year, which proved that even beyond retail, PMax drives value. On an average, advertisers using PMax drove up to 27% better conversions versus investing in a single channel campaign. And to get this right, you need the foundations to begin with, plus a lot of additional bells and whistles. We think the product is good, but it can get better. And there are 3 things I'll talk through where, based on your feedback, we've been improving on the product set. It's all around giving you better controls, deeper insights, and then bringing the Google magic. We'll start with the first topic, which has been a very heavily asked product point. Advertisers want better controls. You want better controls on what's serving and what's not within your PMax campaign. We already had ability for you to exclude any placements you didn't want your campaigns to run on, but what was missing was the ability to go deeper. With PMax now in your placement reports, you can go deeper and see all YouTube channels or search domains along with your display domains that are published. So if you see something you don't like, you can surgically exclude that. This is something new we've launched this year. For a lot of advertisers like you in the finance and tech vertical, you manage your business through pages. With page feeds launch in PMax, you can now control what becomes the input for your PMax campaigns and allows you to run the right ads to the right users. We've also built controls where you can exclude IPs at an account level, and by the end of this year, we'll launch controls that'll allow you to exclude negative keywords at a campaign level for PMax, so you can better manage your PMax and search campaigns side by side. Better insights is as critical as better controls, and earlier this year, we launched a very simple reporting that allows you to see all search terms that are triggered through the PMax campaign and drives conversion for your business. So you have very clear visibility on the search traffic you get within PMax. Additionally, a lot of you have given us feedback that it gets really painful if your campaign fluctuates and you don't know why. With that in mind, we've launched something called Performance Shift Insights, which looks at your account's data in the last 7 to 28 days, understands any anomalies in performance, and maps it back to any change that might have happened at that time. So you can quickly understand a change in performance, map it back to a potential change in your account that you can fix quickly. We've also launched some basic insights like budget pacing insights, so you know how you're trending against your targets, whether you're in learning mode or are you in top production mode for your campaigns. Beyond insights on performance, your creatives are your hard blood when it comes to campaigns. And a big ask from you folks was, can we see a little bit deeper? Can we see which campaign creatives and assets are driving conversions? With latest reporting in Performance Max, you can go and do just that. You can see conversions at an asset level, way below an asset group, and also get additional reporting called asset coverage insights that lets you understand how good your assets are performing. We show asset performance and ranking as a ad strength metric. Advertisers that hit an excellent ad strength drive up to 6% better conversions than those that are below. With the new asset coverage insight, you'll be able to see exactly what your ad strength is and what you can do to improve your ad strengths, hence drive better performance. We've been building on this for a while, and one area where we get a lot of questions on is PMax incremental? I'm running a lot of campaigns, can I test it better? With conversion lift insights and uplift experiments, you can do just that. You can measure the incremental impact PMax campaigns bring. Another area of testing is especially for people who are already running PMax campaigns. Raise your hand if you have an active PMax campaign in your account. Okay, a lot of you. So the big question you have is, what if I make a change? How does that impact my campaign? Because it's basically everything combined. With custom experiments in Performance Max, you can now test PMax versus another PMax campaign in your account and make changes that can be incrementally measured. If you, let's say, want to turn on URL expansion, you can make that change and see how much incremental it drives versus another PMax campaign that doesn't have that setting. If you're wondering what URL expansion is, we have a product panel where you can ask those questions and we can explain those bits. But in general, testing assets, testing settings will be possible using custom experiments. We'll continue to build on measurement, but the part where I'm super excited about is the Google Magic. We've announced earlier this year and even last year that we are bringing Gen AI solutions within Google Ads. So you can have a conversation with your Google Ads UI and create beautiful, brilliant assets, text, display, potentially video. This prompting was English only for most of this year, and this year, by the end of this year, we are launching it to more languages. You should have support for English, French, Italian, German, Dutch, Portuguese, Spanish by the end of this year. And if you're Arabic speaking, just wait for early next year and you'll get more prompting capabilities as well. While Gen AI is great and it helps us create better assets, and we've seen over and over examples of how good that is, what's important is these assets have a reference point of your brand. So we've launched an ability for you to upload reference images, stock images, brand images of your ads, old ads, and from that point onwards, the model learns from what you've uploaded. Hence, it's more online with what you expect for your brands to be. While Gen AI is amazing and auto generation is amazing, what you've also expressed is the need to control your brand imaging when you run ads with especially campaigns like PMax. With brand guidelines, you can do just that. You can lock your logo, your fonts, your background color, and we'll make sure ads published through PMax have that same exact setting. So there's no experimentation and there are no surprises. Beyond performance, what's super critical is to create demand for your brands, especially when someone has not started searching for your brand yet. How many of you operate in markets which are not your home markets? Just do a quick raise of hands. So if you're entering a new market, they may not know your brand. And that's one example of where you need to build demand before you can drive performance. With demand gen campaigns, you can do just that. You can create imagery that's aligned with your prospects, target certain lookalike audiences, and start capturing demand, which will then convert for your business. We've seen that work really well, and as we launch more and more features, one key feature we've launched is the ability for you to pin creative text for formats in demand gen, and we'll continue building more of such unique features. Demand gen to us has driven really good performance. For example, Aviva, which is a multinational insurance provider based in UK, they came to us with a challenge to drive social-like or social beating campaign results using Google Ads solution. With demand gen, we were able to do just that. We were able to run campaigns which were beating their social campaigns in terms of CPA and CPCs. Once you generate demand, it either converts through demand gen or search and PMax channels. So I invite you to try it out if you haven't done that yet. At this point in time, I'll end my section. I'll call up my buddy, John, to talk about apps. So please give him a quick round of applause.
Hello, everybody. My name is John. I am a global product lead for app ads at Google. I lead non-gaming business. I am very excited to be here. I am extremely jet-lagged. I joined last night. I was in the last bus, so if I fumble, that's my fault. So my colleagues have done a tremendous job in outlining how we are investing in web campaigns, right? But I'm here to bring it home for all of you, because we are living in an app-first world. By the end of this year, we believe that the statisticians say that the mobile bank customers are going to be 3.6 billion people. And each of these people spend about 5 hours each day on mobile. 90% of that is on apps. So mobile equals apps. This is a huge market. It's just not that. It happens to be that your users with your app are more valuable than your users without. It is because, by the way, we believe that is the number based on the initial analysis that we have done is about 3 to 5 times more LTV across the board. And that is for a reason. They transact in higher volumes, and they transact more frequently. And the good news do not end there. We also found out that the people are more willing to share first-party data. You've heard of it. You're going to continue hearing more about it, more when they are in the app, because app is a confined environment that you created for them as a house, as opposed to mobile web. And you can say that, hey, John, like you are selling apps so hard. Should we just drop PMax search and go all app? No, that's not what I'm saying. That's going to get me fired. Don't do that. What I am telling you to do is the exact opposite. I am inviting you to consider, being wherever your users are, which is both web and app. And I think the point here is by design. Users like mobile web, then the wide breadth of knowledge and the flexibility it gives you as a user while you are searching for better financial products, your next shoe, or things like that. However, when it comes to navigating the right thing to do or transacting, they go into app. So both of these have its places in the user journey. And these systems are symbiotic. And I realized, I said a lot of things, I talk a little fast, so I'm going to bring it home with the message. There are no app customers, there are no web customers, there are only customers. And the name of the game for all of you to create that synergy and be there for your advertisers whenever they are, wherever they are. How do you do that? That is easy. I'm going to tell you how. There are 2 things that you need to do. The first one is to focus on app install campaigns to grow your user base full of more valuable users. The second one is the Web Tape Connect to convert your web campaigns from web-only campaigns to campaigns that can optimize cross-channel between web and app. I have a quick question. Who do you know when was the first time we launched app campaigns for installs? Tell me. You are so good. 2017. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, you see AI a lot, right? App campaigns for install is the OG AI campaign, before AI was cool. TCPI bidding that we launched in 2017 is the first smart bidding that happens to be backed up by AI. So it works. It is a great campaign. That also happens to be the only campaign that Google offers that can optimize and drive installs at scale. There is no other campaign that we have offered. And the third thing about that is that it has access to the vast inventory of Google across iOS and Android. On Android, it also has exclusive access to Google Play Browse and Google Play Search, which is the search store for apps. When it comes to Web Tape Connect, it is pretty much a feature that we have enabled by getting your app conversions biddable in the web campaigns and also throwing in a deep linking. You can pretty much get users who already have your app when they're looking for your products and services into your app, which is a good reminder that you already have what they need, and they should continue work with you. But do not take my word for it, right? I work for Google. I brought you 2 different customers who have found success with this symbiotic relationship between web and app campaigns. The first one is a Kickoff. Kickoff is a personal finance company from California, which is where I flew from. And they were initially a quite nascent digital advertiser, and they're a recent company as well. They were only doing ACI on Android and search. Sounds familiar? What they did was they implemented WebTap Connect with their search campaign, and they noticed that there is actually immense value that they're getting through iOS campaigns as well. That led them expanding their search campaigns into PMax, again, with WebTap Connect, and also expanding their app campaigns for installs on Android into iOS. And that led to pretty much getting much more conversion rate by infusion of more app customers into their ecosystem, and from 0 to 20% growth of apps presence in their revenue work streams. And the second one that I'm going to talk to you about is G-Star, which is not a finance client. And I can hear you saying that, John, like, this is not a good move. Like, this is a finance event. Why are you doing this? It is because the story is good here, and my secret agenda is that I believe after I tell you what they did, you will test it and see it for yourself, and you're going to tell me your success, and I'll be telling the tales of your success around the world whenever I'm speaking in events like this. They were looking for, they're a Dutch clothing brand. They were looking to improve the profitability of their marketing as they grow. They said, hey, we know that our app customers are quite good, so maybe let's improve the bids and budgets on our app campaigns for install, but not just look at the campaign performance itself, but how it affects my web campaigns, because I'm infusing more web users that tend to be more valuable. What they found out is that their PMax campaign pretty much blew up. It was a great performance, and they also saw a higher traffic, 3% more traffic coming from their app into their overall traffic share. And this is the reverse cycle, which is where ACI, improving ACI, and adding WebTap Connect into the system, improve the performance for the advertisers. And the thing is that this is going to go really fast from now on. I'm going to tell you a few cool things that we're building on these products that hopefully is going to make them even more relevant to you. The first one that I want to tell you about is on-device measurement. If you are advertising with Google, and if you are serious about iOS, and if you have logged in user information, you can use this feature to improve the ground truth without the user data ever leaving their device. This is very important. This is not a fingerprinting solution. This is built with ATT in mind, so it's future-proof. And if you invest in this, you will see, hopefully, even more than 16% CPA improvement on Google owned and operated inventory that the initial set of advertisers that tested with us. This is here to stay. Take a look at it and use it. The second thing is new customer acquisition. Up until now, we established that app campaigns are great at finding you new app installs, new app users. With this feature, you can up-level it to make it so that app campaigns for installs are able to find net new customers and onboard them on apps. This is essentially happens by using your first-party data, excluding them from your campaign, so that we exclude your user base who have maybe logged into web and conducted many transactions with you, but not on your app, out of it. We're going to ensure you're getting net new clients to your business on app with this feature. The other thing is that finance is as seasonal as retail. You have paydays in a month where transactions surge. You have stock surges where people just pile up on different stocks. We have heard from you time and time saying that, John, we love Google, we love AI, but I know my business the best. And we know that. And we trust you that. And that's why we built this product. Essentially, what it allows you to do is that you inform our system that you expect a heightened or lower demand at a time frame. We will use the inputs that we are getting from you to capture that demand that is in the future. And when it's done, we're going to forget about it so that you will no longer suffer from the highs and lows of seasonality. It's just going to be all the good stuff without the repercussions. Last but not least, so we also have built not one, but two different creative testing product features for app campaigns for installs. The first one is what we call uplift experiment. This is a little bit of unusual, but let me tell you about it. It is an A versus A/B testing. We built this for you to make long-lasting decisions. And the way it works is that pretty much it answers the question, what happens if I add this set of creative into my campaign? How are they going to get along with the rest of my creative, and is it going to improve my campaign holistically or not? It can yield you statistically significant results, can take a little bit more to run, so it's not going to be quick as much, but the results that you're going to get are going to be much more long-lasting. The last one is the directional split testing for app campaigns, which has been a big ask from every one of you. That is our A/B testing that will be launched in the next 30 days. So you heard it here first. Look out for it. Essentially, what we're going to do is that we are going to allow up to 10 different arms. We're going to assign an equal set of impressions to each of them and going to report the results, which is pretty much the A/B testing that you get from the competition today in the market. And before I finish, I do want to mention a testimonial for the asset uplift. Trade Republic is a German fintech company. They were using creator videos as part of their organic app strategy. And they just wondered, hey, we already have these creatives. What happens if we start using them with our paid marketing campaigns? They used asset uplift, and they saw tremendous results. You see them. I think it's needless to say that these people are now using their creative videos with the app campaign. So there's another insight for you if you are interested in that. OK, so this is pretty much it with the keynote. However, do not go anywhere because we have a panel for you to ask your question and maybe deep dive a little bit more with the products that we have. And with that, I want you to remember one thing from this presentation before we go in. That is, we want to be your partners, as Arsen and my colleagues said. And we are in it for the long haul. We want to be there at every step that you are growing your business. And thank you so much for your time. Guys, come on up.
everybody, for your involvement. And we're not too far away now from our first pit stop. But we've gotten our minds in gear. Now we're going to get our bodies into gear. Who's with me? Somebody cheer. Oh, wonderful. Somebody's with me. All right. Everybody stand up, please. Okay. Who has children or has children in the family or has once been a child? Everybody. Come on. Wonderful. Now, follow me. Up. Down. Turn around. Perfect. Let's shift it up a gear. Faster. Up. Down. Turn around. Marvelous. We're good. Say hello to the person next to you. All right. The energy's gone up. I love it. And thank you for joining me. That would have been embarrassing otherwise on this stage. So thank you. Now, I'm going to be handing over to Jeremy Goro, who's our moderator for the next panel. And this is a really interesting one, too. Finance as a force for good.
Thank you, Christina, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Goro. I lead financial services, strategy, and partnerships for Google in the UK. Fintechs are critical enablers of innovation in the financial services industry and are also positive contributors to economies and society. Fintechs will continue to play a pivotal role in addressing and what I think Accenture describes quite thoughtfully as the world's to-do list, driving meaningful and positive outcomes across productivity, the planet, place, peace, and people. We can spend many an hour and easily fill a panel on each of these areas of fintech impact. But we're going to spend the next 30 minutes diving deeper into the transformative impact of fintech on people. We'll be hearing from fintechs who are working day in and day out to reduce inequality, to broaden financial access and inclusion, to improve financial resilience, and increase financial literacy. I'm incredibly excited and honored to introduce our panel of fintech founders and CEOs, each of whom are deeply passionate about this topic and this work, and who are building this together and have translated this passion and their immense talents into building and leading remarkable fintechs. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Sophie Turner, co-founder of BeatVest, Aisha Ofori, founder and CEO of Propel, and Gabriela Isis, founder and CEO of Goodwith. Some great walk-up music. Thank you for that. So to kick us off, it would be great if you can each say a few words introducing yourself and also your fintech. And Sophie, can I start with you?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Sophie. I'm co-founder of BeatVest, and we at BeatVest, we're an investment app for beginners. So people learn how to start investing. It's like education in 3 minutes, audio and text format, and then they can also start long-term investing.
And Gabriela.
Hi, I'm Gabriela Isis. I'm CEO and founder of Goodwith. Goodwith is a financial behavior analytics company, and we intend to help financial services safely lend to people with no or thin credit profiles using psychological and behavioral insights around their finances to understand when people are ready to borrow.
Hi, I'm Aisha Ofori, founder and CEO of Propel. And we've built an investment platform designed specifically for women to help them build their investment confidence and to start investing. Because typically, women are very good at holding cash, but don't invest anywhere near as much as they need to. So we focus on building their confidence through financial education. We have a massive focus on community, bringing women together so that they can start talking more about money and investing. And then finally, an investment platform where they can start to build their wealth.
Thank you. And when we were preparing for our conversation today, I was incredibly inspired by the underlying mission that underpins all three of your fintechs. Let's get a little bit more personal. I'd like to understand what is your personal connection to your mission, and if you could maybe share a little bit more about your journey as a founder. And maybe Aisha, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, sure. So my background is in finance. I was a banker for about 10 years, spent the last 6 years of my career before Propel at Goldman Sachs as an ultra-high net wealth advisor. And what I saw was that majority of our clients were men. And I started to wonder where the women were and why women didn't have any money, or if they did have money, why they weren't investing it. And initially I thought maybe it was just at the ultra wealthy end that there happened to be more men. But the more research I did, I found that actually across the board, right down to the retail level, women weren't investing anywhere near the levels that they need to. And this has profound impacts on their life. And in the UK, the gender investment gap is 1.65 trillion. And the gender pension gap is 40%, but nobody was sort of doing anything about it. And actually, despite the fact that I was working in financial services, for a long time I wasn't doing anything with my money either, despite the fact that every day I was helping other people to build their wealth. And so for me, I sort of had this light bulb moment, and I said, if no one does anything about this, for many women, it's almost like car crashes waiting to happen. So I did more and more research and then sort of said, right, I'm going to take the learnings that I have from Goldman and I'm going to build a retail platform for women to get them investing.
Gabriella, maybe the Goodwith story?
Yes, so mine's very sad. I got into a lot of credit card debt at university and got on the spend on credit to build credit slippery slope. In the US, that's how they do it, in the UK as well. And with no financial education to speak of, I was paying minimum balance and maximum interest. It was my first very expensive lesson in compound interest. I literally bought the T-shirt and paid for it twice. And that was kind of the shame, the anxiety, all of that came from, not making uninformed decisions that were going to affect your future was what I was doing. And then I moved to the UK and realized that we're not doing any better with young adults. We're not doing any better with women. We're not doing any better with people in lower socioeconomic situations. So that's how the idea for Goodwith came along. And it's a holistic approach to helping people understand their relationship with money, building up their confidence and their competence, and then helping them access fair finance.
Fantastic. And Sophie?
Yeah, so I used to work in financial regulation in the UK for the FCA and also in the US with the SEC. And what I saw there is that capital markets are like the most effective way to build long-term wealth. And I was wondering, so what about the common people, like everybody around us, the retail investors, why aren't they investing? And I looked at my home market in Germany, and over 85% of the German population do not invest in capital markets. And then when you look at the underlying reasons, then you soon find out it's because they just don't know how. They've never been taught at uni, they've never been taught at school, and they have to invest because they have a massive problem, and that problem is called old age poverty. Our kind of pension system is broken, like many pension systems in this world. So growing wealth through investing is really the only thing that will keep you from old age poverty. And this is why we then thought, hey, okay, we need to be there. We need to educate those people how to start investing. And then we started to build BeatVest.
Fantastic. And Gabriella, if I can come back to you. And so you spoke about the mission and your connection and sort of what drove you to build Goodwith. At the end of the day, though, Goodwith is still a business. You have commercial objectives, you have KPIs, you have OKRs that many of us in the room have the same feeling and know quite well. How do you balance that? So how do you balance an underlying mission-driven organization in fintech with the realities of commercial objectives and responsibilities?
Yeah, thank you. It's when you're a startup, you have all of these amazing visions, and your mission is your driver. Fortunately for us, our mission, if we do well, if we win, financial services win. If we win, people win, borrowers win. So we are helping protect, people who aren't necessarily ready to borrow. We talk about kind of pairing responsible banks with responsible people, and we say to financial services, we will prepare these people to be responsible with borrowing, but you have to be responsible too. And that seems to resonate in the UK, especially at the moment, because of the financial crisis, of consumer duty regulation, and because we're a holistic solution that provides these insights around people's readiness to borrow, we're actually helping hopefully create a more virtuous circle rather than something that I experienced when I was younger.
Absolutely. So there is the opportunity to sort of find that balance, and transparency is really one of the ways in which you do that. And I think just to come back to you also, as you have very robust marketing experience and a marketing background as well, I encourage everyone to obviously check out all the various platforms. So please make sure you check out Propel, BeatVest, and the Goodwith website. But I do really want to call out what is some of the most incredible UX, design, customer messaging, user centricity that exists on the Goodwith website. So really a best-in-class example of really leveraging your digital footprint and being quite successful in doing that. So absolutely. And so Sophie, you flagged in the beginning your experience as a regulator, and a very unique one in that you have experience as a regulator on both sides of the Atlantic in the FCA and the SEC. As an American based in London, I won't ask you which regulator you think is doing a better job. But one thing you did mention in one of our previous conversations is one of the exciting parts of your role was the ability to really see what technology was coming down the pipeline and then really try to understand the implications and applications of that technology in financial services. What are some of the technological advancements that you're seeing now that are having some of the most sort of significant or meaningful impact in fintech and financial services?
Yeah, maybe I focus on the B2C space because that's obviously where we operate. And I would say there are two things I'd like to point out. The first one being AI. And I think, we've heard so much about this topic.
Can I just, for one second, we went 14 minutes without mentioning AI, which I think is, a round of applause for that, please. Okay, sorry, back to you, Sophie.
So I broke that streak now. But I won't go into much detail, but all I want to say to it is that, especially in the B2C space, obviously AI enables you to personalize, and I think that's really important because you need to make the most unique experience and targeted experience to the user. And so I think this is why AI is such a game changer in that space. And the other thing is I would call it as a service economy. So, before you had to, if you want to offer a brokerage feature, you would have to build a broker or you would have to connect to an existing bank, which takes a lot of time and is very expensive. And now, if you want to build a bank yourself or if you want to build an investment platform, you can do this pretty fast and pretty cheap because you've got the as a service economy, so you can just have it, investing as a service, banking as a service. And I think that's a real game changer because we as B2C firms don't have to focus anymore on the back end, but we can really focus on, how to serve the consumer and, give them the best experience there is.
And just to maybe go a little bit deeper on that, when we talk about as a service, as a advancement, as an evolution of the industry, that also requires an ecosystem to support that. And so can you maybe share a little bit more around how does BeatVest work with perhaps large institutions, incumbents, and the broader FS and fintech ecosystem to drive your mission forward? And I think, Gabriella, given the business model and the operating model of Goodwith, I'll ask you the same thing after as well.
Yeah, so it's super important in our opinion to work with incumbents because, fintechs, I think, and existing solutions can work really well together. And just to give you an example, a huge traditional German bank has around 40 million current accounts. And out of this 40 million, less than 10% have an investing account with the bank. And that 10% are, on average, more than 85% male and older than 50 years. So what does this show us? That the traditional banks cannot capture certain target groups. And what can we do, for example, with us? We are very good at capturing, for example, a younger target group, so between the ages of 25 and 40, and we have 50% women on the platform, 50% men. And I think traditional institutions can totally benefit from that because, it's much cheaper to activate an existing customer than to acquire a new customer. So at the same time, we can have the reach and the benefit from a big bank. So I think it's really important that the ecosystem works together rather than against each other.
And Gabriella, maybe a few words on the ecosystem for you as well.
Yeah, we've been really surprised and delighted that financial services, obviously they recognize the problem with credit scores. The credit score methodology was invented as it is today in the 80s. Nothing's been done. There's very little nuance. There's very little understanding of people. You might live on the wrong postcode. You might not have bills in your name. You might be young and therefore no. So none of this is your fault, and none of it says, how you will manage money. And banks recognize that. So they're very open. A lot of them have created these kind of labs and innovation labs and sandbox to test kind of solutions like ours, which is fantastic because, they recognize that we can move very quickly. They recognize that what we're doing, we're hiring people who are behavioral data scientists, who are experts in UX, who are experts in people data, which they would struggle to do. It's not that they don't have the money and can't, but doing that kind of innovation is very risky. And they have been really supportive. We're working with from community lenders, so credit unions, CDFIs, to kind of tier 1 banks, and it's been a really positive collaboration.
Absolutely. And as someone who personally has partnerships in their job description, I'm sure many of us in the room also have similar function or focus. The opportunity to connect and network and speak to each other at events like this, I think becomes so powerful in terms of the role that we all play in the ecosystem. And Aisha, I really want to bring you into the conversation as well. I also want to acknowledge what has probably been the busiest 3 weeks of your life, given that Propel just launched three weeks ago. And what I think we're noticing is that your thesis and your mission is absolutely correct. Just given the buzz, the excitement, the signups, and the immediate success of Propel is clearly indicating that decades-old financial services products that have been built and sort of somewhat optimized over the past decades are not inclusive and are not really covering the needs and gaps of all participants in financial services. So how important is inclusivity in product design, in financial services propositions?
I think it's absolutely essential. It's the whole sort of foundation that Propel is built on. We think about women in absolutely everything we do, from design to products to interactions to language. And I think that, typically with existing financial services organizations, particularly big companies, I think when they have been building their products and services, I don't think they have necessarily been including women. But it's important to say, I don't think they've been excluding them either. I think they just haven't really thought about it. They've just assumed we're building this product for everyone. It's neutral. Therefore, it's suitable for women as well. Whereas actually, that's just not necessarily the case, particularly when it comes to financial services we found. We've had to have that particular focus in order to be able to sort of really engage women and to get them to use our platform and start investing, which is something that they typically haven't been doing before. And I think this focus on sort of more diverse groups is going to become more and more important, particularly in a world where, there's lots of competition and you want to really try and solve people's needs. And what we're starting to see is that a lot of the bigger financial institutions have now woken up to this. They suddenly realize that women are a huge sort of market opportunity, particularly as the data says that, globally women are going to start controlling more wealth. They're suddenly realizing if we don't provide something for women, we're going to lose out on all of that money and opportunity. But I think it has to be genuine the way that you try to reach these target audiences, just adding an extra page to your website and making it pink and putting some pictures of women on it isn't going to cut it. And unfortunately, this is what some people attempt to do. If it's not genuine, you're not going to do the real digging and the data analysis and actually find their pain points and try to solve them, then you might as well not bother. When we speak to women, what we find they say to us is, and because I asked, I sort of said, well, there are so many investment platforms out there. Why have you come to Propel? And they've said, look, a lot of these companies have existed, for years, and they've never bothered to sort of address my needs or concerns. So why am I suddenly going to go to them now? They actually like the fact that we are younger and newer, and we are very unapologetic about focusing on women.
And so, Aisha, if you had to think through a year from now, crystal ball, Propel is the word-of-mouth market share investment platform for women who are now incredibly financially literate because of the work of Gabriella and Goodwith. What would be one of the next potential sort of segments of the population who are really calling out for more personalized, better tailored, more specific products built just for them? Any thoughts or any opinions on that?
So it's actually really interesting because there are so many different directions that we can take this business. So at the moment, our target audience are sort of working women between sort of late 20s and mid 40s. But also we're getting a lot of inbound interest from older women who are retiring, who are maybe drawing lump sums from their pension, but they have no idea what to do with the money. Equally, we could also target younger girls and help to educate them. So by the time they start working and have money, they already feel confident and know what they're doing. And that's just looking at different sort of age groups within the female population. On top of that, there are different regions that we could expand into. So at the moment, we're very UK-centric, but there isn't really an offering like this in Europe either. And we've had women reaching out to us from countries within Europe sort of saying, when are you coming here? And even beyond that, we had quite a few women from Saudi registering on the platform, which completely surprised me because we don't do any marketing or promotion at all. And so all the growth we've had so far has been organic. And when we actually started to speak to some of those women, what they said to us is, people assume that because we're from Saudi that our husbands control everything. But actually, when we're at home, we're part of those conversations. And they want to have more say and control in terms of where their money is going. So they wanted to be educated. And I'd say that, even within the UK, there is also an opportunity within the Muslim population. So when we started to decide which fund managers we wanted to work with, it was really important to me to work with an organization that provided Sharia compliant investing, because when we looked at the data in the UK, there was nothing for Muslim women. So people sort of say to me, oh, why did you add that? And I said, because I really want to be inclusive. I want to help all women.
I'm really excited to see where you go next. I think the options are limitless. I want to acknowledge that we have an all-female panel, which is incredibly exciting. But unfortunately, the reality is that there is a massive, significant gender investment gap. I think the latest statistic that I saw is that female founders receive maybe 2%, not even 2% of what their male counterparts receive in terms of funding. And I don't want to place that burden of finding solutions on you as successful female fintech founders. But given that you have an audience of investors, stakeholders across the industry, across our ecosystem, do you have any recommendations what we can all do to really help close that gap, to really drive greater investment in female fintechs and startups? And maybe, Sophie, I'll start with you on that one.
Yeah, I think on one hand, it needs more role models where you can say, hey, okay, there are people from a diverse background who also manage to, start their own businesses. And on the other hand, I truly believe that the best teams are diverse teams. And we see it, for example, with our platform, like without focusing on women, we managed to get 50% women, as I just said, because the product was built by women. So I think that's a good point of seeing how diverse and diversity works. And the same I would wish for VCs. VCs, when you talk to them, the majority of them are male, white male. And so I think having a little bit more diversity there will also enable them to spot better opportunities.
And I think the statistics also demonstrate and prove that founding teams with at least one female founder outperform fully male-funded teams and funded businesses by over 60%, creating more higher-paying jobs, executing faster, and delivering better results. But Gabrielle, do you have a thought on this as well?
Yeah, I think about this a lot, and 2% sounds really like a mountain to climb. But I think solutions like ours, solutions like Sophie's and Aisha's are really good because women need to start thinking about investing. In our research, we show that probably the women are best at managing money, but as probably you've seen, that they put it in a savings account and don't touch it, or just are really suffer low confidence when it comes to money and investing and things like that. So I think the more solutions like ours that are in the market that support women, that support their confidence, the more they think about how do I invest in me or how do I invest in companies, and that is kind of the longer term strategy that will get there. The shorter term strategy, I would say, if women that are coming to VCs have raised money, have had some traction, have come up with a solution that might look different to what you're used to, then have another look. Because these women, if you think about it, 2% is a tiny, tiny amount. And if these women are coming to you, they're probably battle-tested already. They probably have the persistence and the resilience that you want in a founder. So have another look at them. They might not look like what you expect them to, and support them.
Absolutely. And Aisha?
So I think it's clearly an issue that needs to be solved, but it is challenging for many reasons. And I think part of that is because I think a lot of the time people aren't aware of their own biases. So if you are sitting in front of, female founders who are pitching to you, I think a lot of people will think, I'm open. And you don't necessarily see the biases that you may have. So how do you fix a problem you can't see? So I think it's more a case of, even if you think you are making sort of decisions fairly, getting other people to sort of sense check, have a look, and try to sort of say to yourself, okay, if there were biases that I can't see, what would they look like? I think that's something that's really important. And then I'd say secondly, it's just about talking and spreading the word. I think if we talk more about the fact that not only are women not getting funded, but women aren't investing, talk to the women in your lives, friends, mothers, family, relatives, etc., and start to have these conversations, then we become more aware of the problems, and I think then we can try to solve them.
Absolutely. And I can continue. I would love to continue this conversation for a much longer time, but I'm mindful that we're getting close to time. So to help us end, I'd like to ask you, what would be one thing that you'd like everyone in the audience to maybe do, to think differently, or to reflect on after our session, our panel? So maybe, Sophie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I think for a very long time it was all about access to finance and access to, like bank accounts and investing. But I think we forgot one important thing, and that was like all of this access doesn't help if people are not educated enough. So I would say, for effective education, it needs us all. It needs startups, it needs traditional players, it needs governments. So it's really a community effort. So maybe my takeaway would be like everybody see what role you could play.
Gabrielle, any call to action or reflection?
Yeah, I think, if we just look at what today is, we'd never had gone to the moon. We never would have dreamed big dreams. And I think even though, as female founders, we come up against barriers that have nothing to do with our creativity, our talent, and things like that. We want to envisage a different world for children, for the future, for humanity. And innovation comes from any ideas, from any kind of people, from all over the world. And really, if you have that kind of moment where you're like, why are we still doing this way? Or couldn't we do it this way? I think even if you work at an amazing place like Google, there's always room for innovation. So just keep innovating, keep making the world better.
And for me, it's something that I've mentioned already, talking and having these conversations. I think it's down to each of us who wants to be part of this change to make sure that we are highlighting to people what the challenges are, but also what potential solutions could be. So as I said earlier, speak to the women in your lives, ask them about these things, and see how you can be helpful.
Absolutely. And if I can just add one perspective to close, would just be to encourage each of us as members of the broader financial services and fintech ecosystem to reflect and to think and try to find one positive way to impact the people we work with, the people we build for, and also the people that we live alongside. So a massive thank you, Sophie, Gabrielle, and Aisha, for your time, and thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, you are now just one panel and a really exciting discussion away from your pit stop, where you can grab a coffee, connect with your colleagues, friendly faces, and some of the awesome speakers that you've heard. Now, we have brought experts together from different parts of the world to solve a really tricky dilemma. Now, to tell you more about what that dilemma is, over to Nicola D'Amazzo.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicola, and I come here on stage actually from abroad, from Italy. Guys, we have an amazing guest, and also we had a very long session. So as any Formula One race, it's very good to see all the race, maybe not fall asleep along. But also, its very key moment comes really in the last 10 tour. So we hope to bring you like the best, because here we have a dilemma, right? And the dilemma is linked to technology. When a new technology emerges, every company, organization, from the C-levels to the team that has the execute the integration of the technology, has to think about, should I learn this technology? Should I spend time, hire people, bring it in-house and build it and make it my own? Or should I just focus on my core business, my core capabilities, and partner with best-in-class technology firms or other solutions? We saw yesterday bank as a service, to just bring this technology to my consumer. And to solve the dilemma today, I have the honor to have 3 musketeers that will join me. The first one is Corey Thompson, Executive VP at Group Head of Digital Banking at Mashreq Bank. The second one is Ladim Latki, Global Head Bitpanda Technology Solution. And the third one is JF Sullivan, Chief Strategy Officer at Snowdrop Solution. Please join me. Great, guys. Are you ready? We try to help a bit, this beautiful audience. Maybe I start with you, Corey. At Mashreq Bank, you obviously embrace the move to forming a digital bank. You work a lot, you had a team, probably you did partnership, you work with external team. So I would like to maybe start a bit to talk about this dilemma, right? How did he go through it? What can you tell to the audience?
Sure. So at Mashreq, we consider ourselves to be a digital challenger bank. And we've invested fairly significantly over the last 4 to 5 years in the talent, the culture, and the ways of working to drive that ambition. And if I reflect on Mashreq, we have quite a strong builder culture, to be honest. So when faced with this question, there's always a natural bias or orientation to sort of lean towards build. But I think the answer to the question is it depends. There is no one size fits all. So when we're faced with this, we typically look through it through 3 lenses. We asked ourselves 3 questions. The first one, to your point earlier, how core is this to our business? What the problem that we're trying to solve, is this core, near the core, or is it more peripheral? Naturally, if it's core and it's near the core, it warrants some fairly deep assessment. If it's on the periphery, frankly, it's not worth the opportunity cost of your attention, and that would be typically somewhere where we would look to buy, for example. So assuming this is something that's fairly core, the second question that we would ask would be, is this a commodity or utility type nature, or is it something that we really think we need to differentiate on? So maybe to illustrate that, you might, most of us who are working for banks would typically have a very important core banking platform. It's absolutely core to the business, but we look at it maybe more as a utility in nature in terms of the role that it does, and we're not necessarily differentiating on that alone. At the other end of the spectrum, our mobile app is clearly a differentiating territory and something that we should own and we should build. Increasingly, banking products are quite similar, so we're differentiating more on journeys and experience. So assuming we answer yes to core and yes to it's a strategic differentiator or it's a competitive dimension, there's a third aspect then which we have to ask, which is, do we even have the competency to execute on this? So this might be something that we deem key, and we have to be in the market, and we have to sort of compete and build in this space. But perhaps we don't have the talent yet. Good examples would be more some of the emerging technologies that we've talked about over the last couple of days. So this would be somewhere where perhaps partnering comes in. It's not a cold build or a buy, but it's perhaps a partnership, and it's a pathway to build capability so that you can eventually be the owner of your destiny on that. So like Mashreq, like many other banks, in reality, we are a combination of build, buy, and partner across the stack, and those decisions are made in a very sort of rigorous way, depending on the nature of the problem that we're trying to solve.
Thank you, thank you. Perfect. Now, let's go a bit more into the meat, okay? Let's talk about a tsunami. Yesterday, we heard about tsunami technology coming along, but I think there is a tsunami technology that came maybe already 2 decades away, is slowly coming everywhere. And who more than you, Nadim, can talk about, really how the digital assets are coming in every country, in every banks, etc. So give us maybe some advice on how you advise actually your clients, right, to build on buy or partner or whatever.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, for one, I think it starts with defining what exactly you're trying to do, right, with digital assets. I mean, digital assets is a very broad topic, right? You have everything from trading to custody, tokenization now, real-world assets. So with regulation obviously beginning to help clear the pathway about delivering this kind of a service anyway, what is it you're trying to do? Are you trying to acquire new customers? Are you trying to retain customers? I mean, the cost of business now, I think, is no longer a situation where you can just ignore doing something in digital assets, right? I think all banks are beginning to look at it. Last year alone, to give you an idea, something like $500 billion, give or take, was estimated as digital asset transactions just in the Middle East alone, right? So that is money leaving banks to go to trading platforms to do stuff and then missing out all that revenue from a bank. So I think first define what you're trying to do, right? Are you trying to build a new revenue stream? Are you trying to acquire customers? Then the next big thing about what we look at when we partner with banks is how do you want to do this, right? So this is kind of the buy, build, partner. I actually don't like the versus. I think it's a journey. I mean, exactly like Corey said, right? It could be, and we really talk about it as a phased approach with our clients. If you want to just get to the market quickly and offer something given barriers to entry are being lowered, like in Europe with Meek coming in and everyone being able to offer the service, you need to just partner quickly, right? And get something out the door. We actually offer an investment as a service platform for us to be able to do that with banks. And then as you build the in-house expertise, the knowledge base, you then decide, is this critical enough? I mean, it's exactly like Corey said, like, is it core enough that we bring things in-house? You then phase out of the partner and build or buy to get into the build stage, right? So I think it's really a journey when we do it with our clients. We don't have a one or the other. It has to be a blended approach. So yeah, that's the way I really think about it with my clients.
Perfect, perfect. And if you have more questions about the topics, I mean, you'll be around for sure. We see it was the first emerging queries in Google in the region, so I think you will have a lot of questions. Great. So JF, welcome to UAE. Good to be here. Yeah, JF, we had some collaboration together, and today as well. I heard, that along the way of with Snowdrop, that is the company you represent here, we try together really to bring a technology that is called location intelligence. So basically, Google Maps, data, and technology in banking for many years. And then at a certain moment, you get bored and you say, you know what, let's build a product, make it the best as possible, and sell into banks instead of selling technology. Maybe can you tell us a bit this journey and also, how you see this collaboration banks by banks between building and buying?
Well, I think it maps out pretty well to what both Corey and Nadim said. We began the journey by simply providing what was essentially a commoditized technology, which, if not for some banks, was going to be eventually a commoditized technology around the mapping API. So you just serve that up. We then found an opportunity to partner with one of the early customers, one of the early digital pioneers in digital banking, to create an offering where we could provide a particular value add, which was near the core, but not within the core, so it was core adjacent. And it would increase the value of the underlying core. That eventually became the product. And I think that's the moral of the story, as we were just discussing. I guess I would add one perspective to that, though, which is that it's really important when you think about the financial services, the solution providers who are out there who are trying to give you choice A, choice B, product B, C, D, and E. Most of the technology, particularly in the financial services industry, is designed. Most of us know as providers, we're not going anywhere near the core. All of our products have to be designed to be something that is sitting on the edge of what's absolutely critical for the bank. Interestingly, though, each bank is different in terms of how they define that core. But all these products tend to be, and our services as well, tend to be something that you trigger, pull information in back to the core, which makes the underlying bank like
complementary
better.
In a way.
Exactly. So you're additive to it. Think of it like the bank has absolute critical assets and data, but it doesn't have everything. One of the nice things for Nadeem and ourselves is like we do, 2.4 something like that billion transactions a month across a number of financial transactions. But they're not just one banks, right? So the perspective of what's matching, what's the merchants, what's the triggers of that information is interesting to a number of banks. So it gives you another asset to look at when you think about the data. And you should extend that to any service you're thinking about.
Can I just build on a point?
For sure.
I mean, I think the sort of the journey and the modernization of banking and financial services has changed rapidly, and we're seeing, as the point was made, kind of the platformatization of a lot of these things happening. So I used an example of core banking. We had Starling on here yesterday who said, actually, we're deciding that core banking is so core that we're going to invest in building it ourselves because we think it's going to allow us to differentiate downstream. We had a good example in the last presentation from BeatVest talking about how platform services for investing, same for crypto, can be embedded. So the landscape and the variety and the optionality that banks and fintechs have now is vastly superior to what it was maybe 5 years ago even. So it's not sort of build something or buy a big chunky box. The SaaS services are really changing the landscape.
Thank you. Great. So we talk a lot about strategies, solutions maybe, but we forget about the king. Who is the king? The customer is the king, right? So maybe Nadeem, you can tell a bit about how can we make sure that the customer is well served, what we should track along the implementation of a new technology. Can we change also our strategy along the way, or once we take the decision, that's it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think understanding what your customers want and how they interact is like pretty important, right? So sentiment, naturally, like a first way that people think about, like what does my customer want? Let me ask, let me just get that qualitative approach. But quantitatively, we can do a lot, right? The way we kind of value success with how banks around the world have been implementing our technology to offer digital asset services is actually just looking at very, very specific metrics, i.e., what's the active volume that they've been trading per month? Have you seen a higher engagement directly in your application? Are they going through a diversification of assets they want to invest in? We obviously don't do just digital assets. We also do just general traditional assets. So, we're beginning to see that interest, and that way we kind of measure with our banks customer engagement for one. The other aspect is obviously just purely from a net money outflow, right? Has your bank seen less of an outflow of money to payments to brokers and other exchanges? Are you seeing more money come in? Because I think it's also important to differentiate. Yes, you can do a plug and play and offer a solution, but ultimately, is your plug and play solution and your user experiences, like as both my peers have been saying, better than the other bank or other financial services that are offering something similar, right? Like, what is your user journey and customer journey doing? So I think understanding that and trying to track that and evaluate that as much as you can help you understand whether your customers actually like what you've just built and delivered, or how do you fine-tune it and trying to change that dynamically through the way.
Corey, anything to add? I mean, you have a big bank, right?
Yeah, maybe with from a Mashreq lens on this one. So obviously, starting with the customer is super critical to us. So if we're taking something from 0 to 1, we apply the Google Sprint framework quite often here. So we'll start with small group of cross-functional stakeholders trying to unpack a problem, talk to customers, quickly move into prototyping, validating our hypothesis, and then sort of moving to a more high fidelity kind of proposition. So we try to involve customers in any new journey, product, or service that we're building from the origination. And then as that moves out into the live environment, then it sort of shifts from customer conversations and sort of focus groups and user testing to clicks. What customers say and how they actually behave can sometimes be different. Our customers actually behaving the way that we kind of we thought they would through that journey, and then of course North Star is sort of the Net Promoter Score. So that's sort of the loop that we apply at Mashreq. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe JF, you have any example of how you work maybe more with banks to test the product before launching, and then making sure that along the launch, this is going well?
Right. So building off of the customer, so we're a B2B2C company, right? So essentially you look at the set of transactions, you see a logo, you see a name. We're the ones cleaning all of that data up. So we're trying to design to a user experience point that the bank has in mind as the KPI. So the engagement, their Net Promoter Score, and so on and so forth. Internally, we like to break the problem down a little further, which is we define a set of KPIs for the bank for their launch, which is in terms of how the activation will work, how the engagement will work, the number of false positives that will not be generated, the number of times you'll get an accurate match of information to a transaction. But there's some other interesting things I think we've learned along the way, which is those are the key elements. That's what defines the critical launch of any service from most of the banks that, certainly in my field, probably yours as well, how well the users are doing. But what we discover is, particularly for some of the larger financial institutions, there's a whole other set of community of users within the bank. There are the operations people who have to have specific monitoring and reporting, or have to fit it within an operational process that they're used to, and they're not going to learn another one. Whatever your service delivery is has to fit within the structure of the bank. Those are equivalent users, and they have their own KPIs and measurements in terms of what they think is successful for any kind of solution, particularly when you're partnering with a bank.
Yeah, one thing to that, I mean, statistically from our perspective, because I think you said data points is quite interesting. So we've seen, I mean, actually working with your partner when you're building or delivering a new service with the experience and coming to the table with that actually helps a lot. And just to exemplify what I mean by that, when we have banks in Europe that have launched a new digital asset service, we've only seen initially when they just let out that new service, about 5 to 7% of users immediately activate and use it. That's pretty low, I mean, considering the investment or time to have done it. But after working with us after the first few months and like understanding the 10 plus years of experience we bring about how to promote it, how to market it, how to target it, we've seen that double quite quickly after the first quarter, right? So I think it's important to actually understand, yes, it's good to offer your customer what you want, but you need to do it in the way that they are expecting it as well, right? I mean, on our brokerage platform, clients are very different than how they would interact with a banking platform, right? And so understanding how to package it and approach it, I think really helps as well. Try to maximize the success of any new service that you are trying to deliver as well to your customers.
Great. So maybe to close up, I will ask to each of you one word that all this audience can bring home when he's facing the dilemma. The dilemma will come many, many times, right? And it's not only about technology, by the way. It's also about like your moped or your Formula One car. Do you want to repair yourself or you want to call somebody to fix it? So, Corey, one word. I told them to think about it.
I'm going to say strategy, but I need to kind of explain why I think. Because I think that's the first frame which you have to make that decision through. As I explained earlier, whether you build, buy, partner, it depends on the organization you are and you want to be. And so everything kind of has to look through that strategic lens to guide you to the best decision.
Be strategic. First one. Nadim.
2-word, opportunity cost, I would say. And why? Because, I mean, it goes back to the point that I made, time to market, right? Every time you spend trying to fix in-house the education, the knowledge gap, the building of something, even the regulatory complexity is very specific to digital assets. Every month spent doing that is month lost revenue. And you're always going to play catch up, right? So you have to think about opportunity costs. Like if you want to get something out the door, that's really what should be driving how you decide and how you implement.
Not only immediately, but long term also maintaining,
exactly.
right? Yeah. JF? So, sorry.
Wait, he cheated. He got to use 2 words. You gave specific instructions before the damn panel.
It's okay.
You said, go up there and make up one word.
Okay,
I worked
you can
on
use
one
3
word.
words. 3
Now
words.
He's using
1,
2
2,
words.
3.
This is so unfair. I want to change my answer, and now I want a complete restructuring of it. Using 2 words. Balanced equation. What I mean by that is that you think of build versus buy, all of you, from either side of the equation, whether you're a partner or you're actually a standing bank, and you think you've got it nailed. There is the cost of your development team, there is the cost of whatever it is the product or service you're trying to get, there is the maintenance and software support costs of that product over time, there is the operational cost of your development team. That is the tip of the iceberg at the end of the day. When you think about the actual equation of how you're looking at this thing. There is the opportunity cost, there is the how close is it to the core assets, how much does it improve it, how much are you willing to risk, what are those factors within that? How fast will this thing that is really bleeding edge commoditize over time? What effect will that have on your investment? You need to look at it from the full arithmetic of the solution. Because, and just speaking against my side of the argument here, there's a lot of flashy technology. And we've managed to not say AI pretty much through most of the panel. So good on us. Woo. Yeah, excellent. But there's a lot of flashy technology out there that you can use that will give you more insights, better data, better customer experience. But when you look at it, there's the stuff that really works and it solves and it checks off a number of those variables. And there's other stuff when you actually bear out the full equation, you look at it and you go, this is going to cost me an arm and a leg to buy it or to build it. That's my suggestion. Balanced equation.
So just to be fair, balance and opportunity. Now we got
there
one
we
word
go.
each, okay?
Okay, as you see, it's a very complex dilemma. So we will try to be back next year to continue the discussion. But for now, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's go take a coffee so you can help.
Coffee.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, you've reached your pit stop. Like every pit stop, it's going to be quick. Please be back at 3:10. And if you get a chance, please check out the website of our brilliant partner, Hub71. It is truly breathtaking to see how many hundreds of startups they've helped, how many hundreds of jobs they've helped create, and who they've partnered with. See you at 10:10. Welcome back from your pit stop. We are now about to accelerate into the last 2 laps of your Formula One race. I will now be handing over to a speaker who you heard from yesterday. Please give it up for Felicia Otto-Lauren, who will be hosting a session on the future of finance.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you all doing? Good, great, amazing. Yay for the round of applause. Hopefully you've enjoyed day 2 just as much, if not more, than day 1 of GtFT24. And I'm really, really pleased to be hosting this panel session about the future of investing platforms, which we definitely believe is a very, very interesting and prevalent area of financial services. And so the world of investing overall is very much undergoing rapid transformation, and investing platforms themselves are really at the pinnacle of that. They're providing access to tools and a broad range of services to individuals. So we really believe that understanding the trends within these platforms is both crucial for investors as well as financial institutions and innovators. And so I'm really pleased to be inviting onto the stage Damien Hitchen, who is the CEO of Saxo Bank, MENA, and also the regional head for APAC. And we also have Ricardo Kamen, who is representing equity. So let's give it up for Ricardo and Damien. How are you doing, guys?
Good.
A pleasure to have you both here today. So you're both businesses that you represent are online trading platforms that are really making waves in the market. So we have Saxo Bank, who has been in the market for 32 years, so headquartered in Denmark, and then has spread tentacles globally into the UAE, as well as many other markets globally. And then Equity, newer to the market, so founded in 2016, but also very much making waves across the world, but HQ'd in Dubai. So let's get started to really get into understanding more about the motivations behind your businesses and also the trends that you're seeing for the future. And so we'll start with you, Damien. So we know that it's always quite precarious when you're trying to look at getting new customers, right, while also maintaining loyalty with existing customers. And so just keen to understand how Saxo is thinking about appealing to the next generation while maintaining and retaining existing customers.
Thank you, Felicia. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for staying on so late in the day. It's nice to see a picture of Ricardo and I about 10 years ago up there.
No, I think they're Monday.
Okay. That's always an interesting balance, like any industry, and I don't think that's specific to financial services. It's that balance between your existing customers and engagement and providing what they want from your platform and attracting more new clients onto the platform and into the world. Also a takeaway to previous panel discussions that I've had the pleasure of seeing today. Saxo's mantra very much is digital platform first. So if you speak to our founder, he will say, if it's not on the platform, it doesn't exist. So we really do have a really foundation DNA of making digital platform first for all of our clients. And for those of you who don't know us, we are a bank. We can hold client assets, but we are a global multi-asset class market investing platform. We don't do retail banking. We don't do corporate banking. So our world is very much around wealth management and investor experiences. So in terms of what we do on a day-to-day basis, and that's for 2.5 Saxonians around the world, we're really looking to move the needle in very small steps, but also always with, obviously, the client at heart and the client really leading us in where we want to go on that journey. Focus areas at the moment, and as you mentioned, Felicia, we're now over 30 years old. Focus areas at the moment are very much in terms of what we call TREA, so providing clients with timely, relevant, engaging, and actionable information. So what we do there is we look at our clients, and the business is roughly split between A third what we call investor clients, and they tend to be clients beginning their investment journey in cash products, so stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, etc. A third for what we call traders, which are people who deal with margin products and professional traders. And then a third for our institutional partners. And institutional partners can go anywhere from tier 1 banks around the world, HSBC users in Singapore, for example, for their wealth platform, all the way down to prop firms or commodity brokers, etc. So really with each of those subsets within the Saxo universe, what we're really looking to do is drill down into the more detailed personas. Because when we can drill down into personas, so for example, we have a persona called a buy and hold investor. And a buy and hold investor sounds straightforward, but actually we've got about 24 sub-buckets of a buy and hold investor. Because a buy and hold investor could be a person who just holds stocks in their domestic market. They could be a person who holds stocks across multiple markets. They could be a person who holds ETFs, ETPs alongside stocks, and so on and so forth. So what we're really trying to do and what we spent a lot of time on over the last 18 months, 2 years, is to use our tools and our data, and the event has been very much based on data for the last 2 days, in order to be more relevant and engaging to specific people. Because when we do that, what we find is we provide them with relevant content, and they will consume the content, and then they will act on the content. Whereas if we look at our platform, and I would say pretty much everybody in the market 4 or 5 years ago, it was more of a case of bringing people onto the platform and then really hoping that people would do things on your platform and really putting content out there which was quite generic and wasn't specific enough. So that's one of the changes we've made in the last 2 or 3 years and what we're concentrating on.
Amazing. I think to your point, we definitely have heard a lot about utilizing data, and it sounds like the team at Saxo, I love the term Saxonians, by the way. It's really cool. But yeah, that being able to look into those insights and then creating those buckets, I think sounds really interesting.
And just to end on that, because you asked me about new clients as well.
Yeah.
And that also extends to the upper funnel in terms of lead generation and how we connect that lead generation. And we do work with yourselves at Google on that. So that's really where clients have the first initial touch point with us, whether it's a landing page, what type of lead channel they're coming into. From that, we can then lead the client into an appropriate landing zone, rather than, as we used to do, just a landing zone, which may be relevant for some personas, but certainly wouldn't be relevant for all personas as well. So that's where we're taking that right to the top of the funnel in terms of connecting and being relevant to the right people at the right time.
Awesome. It's always good to hear a leader that's also very astute with the marketing side of things as well. So well taken. And then, Ricardo, given that you're head of performance for equity, competition can be rife in the market. And so just keen to understand how equity is able to really differentiate yourselves, particularly in this market that can be somewhat crowded.
And I think I'm going to link to what just Daniel said, right? So it's great that you can do segmentation with your customer, but what we need to do is level it up. So start to do segmentation across how people search for your brand, what type of interest they got, and the life stage that they are. Because I think the panel that came before us and before the Freeman, the lady that talked about the gender gap and the propel. So for example, they discover a niche market that can only be analyzed if you start looking not just at your first-party data, but actually what you go inside. So in my world, and I guess in our world, is very much, understanding how you can predict the behavior. So start to understanding what is the trigger that can show a user is now ready to trade. So it's like, I don't know how many times he click, how many context browser related to solution for invest money he did. So we're really looking at, track any kind of digital signal. We use some MarTech solution here in order to access that data. I think in one of the today panel, they talk about ADH. So we're also looking at that because it gives you context, right? Like you cannot, as you say, you cannot have a landing page and one ad. Yeah, it may be work, right? But it's not going to be scalable. So you really need to leverage that. And this is what we try to do at Equity. So very much, understanding how we can segment on the upper funnel. And then you go all the customer journey, right? So one thing is like, let them click, let them complete the form. but it need to be seamless. It need to be fast. For example, like in UAE, we want to have the UAE pass, so a user can be on board in 30 seconds, right? So we really need to squeeze down the readiness for a user from a click to make the first trade, to make the first deposit.
Amazing. I think it sounds like you've really focused on product as a key means of differentiation in the competitive market, and I think that's ideal because users then, the proof is in the pudding. If they're having a good experience, they're more likely to return. You mentioned the earlier panel, so the Finance for Good panel. There was discussions just around ensuring that financial services are more inclusive. And so I want to ask both of you, just looking at the next 5 to 10 years, are there any ethical considerations? So whether that's financial inclusion, financial education, are there any elements within that you think are important for your businesses to consider over the next 5 to 10 years?
Certainly, and that's something that we're very focused on already within Saxo. So if we talk about communities, and if we talk about the panel with the 3 ladies on earlier, so we've had a Women in Investing theme at Saxo now for 4 years. We do some specific landing pages, and we've even built some specific equity themes for females in investing. And we also sponsor a number of events globally. We did one here in the UAE last year, which was the sponsorship of a female-only netball, rugby, and tennis weekend, which had about 2,000 competitors, which we're very proud of. So from a community perspective, yes, we do that. From an ethical perspective, obviously, there's the large focus globally on ESG, and we've got a number of ESG themes, education centers on our platform, etc. But you talk about education, and most platforms have education on their platform, whether it's in-house content or whether it's third-party content. I thought one of the ladies made an interesting comment earlier about education. And for me, there's education on the platform, there's global education available online. I think we need to try, as an industry, to take education out into the community as well. So we're currently having some conversations in Dubai with a large school operator to see if we can take financial education 101 into schools. Because actually children, when they're 13, 14, 15, 16, should be learning about this. And it's typically not covered by most curricula. If your parents, that might be an expensive thing if we don't educate our kids going forward in terms of how to use money. So I think there's many, many areas that we can focus on. And I think the more that we're able to educate the community from the ground up, I think that would serve everybody better.
Agreed. And Ricardo, on your side with equity, are you seeing any particular focus on areas around inclusion?
Yeah, I think again, as you are doing in Dubai, we also start to collaborate with the university. So it's very much go down to understand how the technology now allow you to trade everywhere, right? Like everybody got a mobile. There is like a million of broker, but a lot of people lose money instantly. So why not enter a step back and again understand the signal of. Is a university student ready to understand this? So can we have like a seminar there? It's not just seminar for as you say the core trader, the one that trade every day, but kind of like incentivize people to understand how to make the first trade. So definitely I quite like and I agree on that kind of like start to enter the education from a more younger audience rather than just wait when they did the first trade or when they come on board in our platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Start them off young. Agreed. And so sticking with you, Ricardo, as the newer platform, so equity is kind of newer to the market, you may have seen that there's definitely been blurred lines when it comes to traditional and alternative investments. And so how is equity thinking about capitalizing on the growing interest of digital assets such as cryptocurrency?
Yep. So we start to offer like crypto safety. And we started really recently. We want to explore it more. but when you think about like the crypto, it's not just the trade per se, but it's also accommodate, crypto payment, for example. So when you think about the last 3 to 5 years, a lot of people start to pay with crypto. So it's not just the give them the availability to trade with that, but it's give them the availability to exchange with that. So having our portfolio of a payment solution crypto is crucial. It also opened up quite a lot of like interesting change in terms of, I think the guys on the previous panel talk about strategy, right? So here you enter from a trade when the market is open to a 24/7. This means a completely, is revolutionary, right? Like you need to have support 24/7 because people are there. So this is where, machine learning, and apologies if I'm the first one in the panel that say, but AI can help to start to elaborate more one-to-one support when the market is closed. And of course there is the ethical part that is about, making sure that those traders know how volatility is this market, so how much risk is involved. And again, it go back to education. So on-demand education need to be available as soon as the crypto come in place. And this is what we try to do here at Quickly.
Amazing. And so I want to share a statistic because I think this is really interesting. So the global online investment platform market is expected to reach $1.2 trillion by 2028. So that's growing at a CAGR of 12.5%. So definitely lots of opportunities. You guys are very much in the right space. And so for you, Damien, just wondering how you're leveraging technology at Saxo to enhance user experience. So is there anything that's being done around making investing more accessible to a wider audience? You did speak to education, but potentially more on the product side, so whether that's gamification, mobile-first approach, etc.
I'll actually take a different view on this, if I may. For us, it's all about the client journey and the client experience. So actually, we took quite a bold move in Saxo around about 18 months ago. The whole 2,500 Saxonians at Saxo, we are organized in customer journeys, from upper funnel to lower funnel, and our last journey, called Journey 10, is client exit and win back. So the whole of the organization across different functional lines, which includes compliance, finance, COO departments, etc., is organized in a client journey perspective. And we've seen huge improvements and synergies by doing that, by having a more focused organization, certainly compared to a traditional bank, which is probably how we're not a traditional bank, but we were certainly organized like a traditional bank for many years. And that's really the client leading us from the client journey perspective, whether it's how people access us as their first touch point, whether it's how people onboard with us, whether it's how people fund with us, it's how we renew clients, it's how we do transaction monitoring, is all built on a very customer journey focused emphasis. And the benefit from that is we get more efficiencies internally, and the benefit from that is we can offer our clients better market access at cheaper prices with better content, which should hopefully make their relationship with us more value.
I've never heard of that being structured in that way. Just curious to know, just as a follow-up, what the deciding factors, was the business always structured in that way, or was there a turning point? And if you could share more about how that came about.
No, this was driven by our founder, Kim Fournay, about 2.5 years ago, and actually was based on external use case studies. I'm sure Google, Gert, you may have been in that conversation. Certainly some other consultancies were involved in that conversation. If you speak to the likes of McKinsey's and Accenture, etc., they've been promoting customer journey organizations now for 5 years. So we took a look at that and we made a very bold decision. And with everything, when you make a significant change, it certainly wasn't right first time. And actually for a lot of us, it was quite confusing because you have people who historically worked, say, in an IT function who are now sitting in a customer journey called onboarding. And that's a little bit difficult to understand. So it took us a period of time to get used to that and to get into the rhythm and cadence of working in a client organized led environment. But now we're there, actually, we're much more agile and we're much more relevant, and everybody within the business across those 2,500 employees understands the impact of doing something. Whereas previously, if you look at a large bank, and particularly, and with no disrespect to support functions, if you look at support functions, sometimes they don't see the impact of what they do on the clients and on the proposition that you offer to the client. So we've seen huge improvements from that. We still have a long way to go. We can still get better, but it's been a really interesting journey, I have to say.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing. And Ricardo, since you were the first on this stage to mention AI, I'll ask you the AI question, which is around how Equity is leveraging AI for decision making and performance capabilities of your investors.
Yeah. So it's more than AI. It's like machine learning, right? So it's very much going back to what we try to do, and is predict when a user come on board, predict when they trade, predict what they trade. So if you think from a broad point of view, this is listening, right? So it's understanding how the user behave even before coming to the platform. So as we say, that it's important that you understand and you approach the user with the product that they are searching for. And when they come in is when you can support them far more with all the first-party data. So what we do, at least, or what we are trying to do now is focusing on recommendation. Everybody, go Netflix. You see that. But we want to try to do much more here, and it's very much start to like. Put together also a bit of social listening, because what we realized is that, for example, we provide a lot of like marketing side, but a lot of client feedback that we got is that it's quite boring, it's quite net, it's quite perhaps tailored to a specific type of trader, where I don't know if this is also your behavior, but a lot of people start to have bubble of news. So they read only TikTok or they read only Instagram. So we try now to find a way to bring that as part of the platform. So if a user, take his news from Instagram, we want that news to be available for him. So it's leverage the upper funnel, where they're coming from, what they click, what they share, and use that information to also bring some other partner to our platform.
Really interesting. And what's been the feedback like from customers since you started experimenting? How do you then engage what's working?
So that is where, in our world, we try to have the customer feedback to measure our success, because you can implement a product, you can make it available, you can look at how many users use it or not, but it's very much, are we receiving more requests to have different platform? Are we receiving requests to have Reddit, for example, integrated? So it's very much collaborate with the user, almost on a one-to-one scale, to understand how much is the gap with what they need and what we are offering. So the success is measured not just by the, we go 10% of users that use it, but it's like, okay, where we kill the gap with what is still needed from a user point of view.
Makes sense. Very interesting. And then for you, Damien, when it comes to Saxo, we know that although you're a global company, there very much is a strong presence in MENA. So what unique opportunities and challenges would you say are present in this market?
So as well as our organization by client journeys, we also have something called local global. So clearly we're headquartered in Denmark in the EU, and globally we'll have a head of each journey, but we'll also have a local head of each journey. And the reason for that is to understand what's going on at the global level. So certain initiatives, certain development work is a global pitch, and what can be done locally. So if we look at the MENA marketplace, there's an appetite for cryptos here. There's a very large appetite. We have 2 regulators, one in Dubai and one in Abu Dhabi, who are very pro-crypto. And a lot of the global industry is coming to set up, or has set up in the UAE. We have a large demand for Sharia products. So we have to ensure that we've got some Sharia products on our platform and cater for that. We have different biases in terms of home bias. I wouldn't say there's a particularly strong home bias in equity bias here. It's more US. But we need to cater for local markets, and local markets are becoming increasingly recognized around the world. If you look at the last 2 years, the UAE's had more IPOs than any other exchanges in the world. So there's a lot of IPO activity in the market. That's now happening in Saudi as well. So there's more action here in local exchanges, and those capital markets are growing. So we are the ears and eyes on the ground here, and also from, if we talk about aspects that people don't like to talk about, so we're talking about AML, we're talking about KYC, we're talking about local knowledge of client documents, business practices, market practices here. We also have a team locally here who liaises with our team in HQ to give them that local knowledge and local lens. So it's really important for us that we have a global foundation of our business, but we also have a very strong local interaction with that global team.
So important. And actually, I'll ask you also the same, Ricardo, because given the global presence, do you find as well when it comes to equity that there's more of a regionalized approach where you're taking on very specific market factors, or is it more of a blanket top-down structure per market?
Totally agree with what Daniel says. So you have to have a local offer. So we offer like local UAE stock. But again, when I look up per funnel, I think we go around 52 different social media channels, one for each region, one for each language. We try to support not just from an acquisition point of view, but we talk about education. So seminar, we're going to have seminar in Thailand made by a local guys, same in Vietnam, same in other regions. So yeah, we do tend to, again, it goes down to listen to the customer, right? So if the customer want to have a tailored offering, if the customer want to have his own type of education with the local language, that needs to be done, right? So it's crucial to offer local presence, and not just the product that we sell, so not just the trade, but the actual education. So as I say, starting from the Facebook page, we have to have like 54 and counting.
So we were talking earlier about the US elections. So the US election is a macro theme for everybody, right?
Yes.
So our US election campaigns and visuals and the way we speak to clients will be completely different in Belgium than it is in the UAE.
Correct.
And those local teams are able to make the content and copyright and then push that out to our clients market by market.
Exactly. And this is our setup. So we tend to have like a creative team and content team in the region rather than have, we got the heads and everybody is here, but then you're going to have the local guys that know, for example, we got quite a big presence in Central and West Africa. So we got local guys that can create Swahili creative, that can, really talk the language, right? Because you can penetrate in English with everywhere, but why not support local community? Again, we talk a lot about community today, so that's the only way, right?
Absolutely, and I think what we've talked about also really boils down to leveraging data for insights, right? And you've used those insights for personalization, which is so key because then again, it speaks to your audience in a way that they understand and that would resonate. So really, really powerful. And so we're coming to the end of this panel. It's been a really, really great discussion. Appreciate both of you being here. So because we're looking at the future of investing, we can't go without discussing the future more. And so if you were to make 2 bold predictions for the future of investing platforms, what would they be? We'll start with you, Damien.
That's a tough one. I think, particularly with the younger generation growing up, and particularly with their digital-first consumption, I think we'll see a huge change in what we would call asset allocation or home bias allocation going forward. So I think that undoubtedly going forward that we'll have our clients, your clients, who have a much wider set of asset classes with a much wider geographical split than we would have seen 5, 10, certainly 15 years ago.
And for me, it's more like the challenge and the gamification. So in the last few years, you see a lot of like prop company coming up, right? So trading to not be just something for experts, for people that go, the 10,000 to waste, but there's going to be platform that allow you to enter with $5 and perhaps even share the profit of the trading. So again, think about here the opportunity to have. How many of you heard about Kaggle? Kaggle? Nothing? So Kaggle is like is a Google platform that born in 2017 as a data science platform. It was 1 million user, 100% nerd, long hair, very techy guys. Why I say this is because the complexity of the trading can be very much associated with the complexity of the data science material, right? What Kaggle did in the last 5 years, it grew from 1 million to, I think last year was around 15 million. So the technology allows users that perhaps are not expert trader, are not expert data science, to become more and more expert because there is a platform that allows you to share and to work together on a project. Kaggle start with like one data science do a project. Right now you go the top winner are a community of data science that work together. My vision is that tomorrow, rather than me just do my trade, maybe it's going to be me and you together one night, make a trade in a pub.
Amazing. But thank you very
Time
much.
is up.
Time's up, yeah.
Thank you very much, Ricardo, and thank you very much, Damien.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.